you to observe 1 minute of silence for all of those who are being remembered tonight. Thank you. Now, if anyone would like to give any final remarks tonight, please do so. Go ahead.
No matter how much further we go in terms of progress, we will never be able to truly change everyone's minds on how to be accepting of the autism and special needs community. But every step is a giant leap forward in progress. The more our community comes together, the more people work together, the more we are able to do more for everyone than ever before. We have an incredibly difficult road ahead of us. It always has been. But in each and every community where the day of mourning is performed, where we mourn for the dead and fight for the living, we are continuing to make progress. The world continues to change and move forward, and we continue to have more resources than ever before. Decades ago, there was really no such thing as autism self-advocates. Before then, we were like merely a handful across the entire country. Now we are many. There are so many of us out there, and we grow. That is why I know there is such a thing as hope. We are a community, and we will see through the results that will lead us into tomorrow. Each of you here have a plan, have an idea, or have a cause that's worth fighting for. And for all of you being here, for all of us working together, thank you. To God Rabba, all of you, and amen.
I had something of a speech prepared at the time, but I seem to have forgotten it, so I'm just going to make it up as I go along. These people here on this wall that were spread out now, they didn't have to die. Of course, that's been a message that's been uttered numerous times this evening, but it's true. Somebody has to reiterate it. We never got to meet any of these people. In fact, I don't know if anyone in the disability community ever got to meet any of these people. It's very likely that that no one in the disability community or the advocacy or self-advocacy communities got to meet any of these people, because chances are, if they had, then some of these people on that wall might still be alive today. Because those advocates would have spoken of their value to their parents. And maybe then such words wouldn't have been lost on dead ears. Last year when I got up and spoke in front of most of you gathered here, one of my beliefs was that messages of fear were at fault for a lot of the deaths up here. I still believe that, of course. These were, of course, a lot of the deaths that on this wall I believe were caused by such messages that were driven home in the past. Messages like how autism knows where you live. Messages that of how Allison Singer once talked about driving over a bridge with her daughter, while her daughter was in the video that was recorded when she spoke. And I don't even know if she could have predicted that. For a few days after that, one of the children up here was strangled with a bag of cellophane, and some few years later, one of the other names, another boy, was thrown off a bridge, and presumably drowned, all because of what that woman said. As I said back, I still say what I said back then, that if Allison Singer is even aware of that connection, then I hope it haunts her. Those words haunt her dreams as they do mine. But it's not. But it's futile at this point to condemn events of the past or what people said back then, because we have to offer an alternative to that. We have to give encouragement. We have to give love and support where there is none. We have to reach out and far and wide as best as we can with the help of everybody that we can reach and everybody we can get through to. As my esteemed colleague said, we can't do this on our own. But we have to reach out and get this message across, that and dispel however many decades of myth and conjecture have been spouted that autism is not something to be feared. Disability is not something to be feared. Because ever since the word disability was coined, people have been murdered in its name. That's something I said last year, and I'm saying it again. At some point, it has to stop. No. So, I know what we here gathered are but a small mote of an hopefully ever-growing community, but hopefully, with the people we can hopefully inspire through however we can get the word out. Hopefully things will change at some point. I remember, I don't know if anyone has ever seen the actual footage of when Martin Luther King Jr. spoke his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. I know there's a few of you who were around to see it broadcast live on television here, and some of us have either seen it on YouTube or saw recorded video presented in some college or high school or middle school or elementary school classroom. That's how I first saw the whole thing. I don't mean to say that I hope, of course, I'm obviously saying that I hope someone like that will come around, say that that he has a dream too, where we won't have to see this list grow any longer. Perhaps and that we're waiting for that someone to come along, say that he has a dream that people with all kinds of autism and any other disability will be finally accepted and no longer be ashamed of, or I think I said that wrong, or rather their parents being ashamed of them, living in fear of them. I think I feel like I shouldn't say we're still waiting for that. I'm still waiting for that person to come along. I do hope that person will come along at some point. Maybe that person has come along already and I haven't seen it yet, or he hasn't gone up there in front of millions of people on whatever national monument and gave a stirring speech just like that. I remember seeing in that footage that for the greater part of his speech, he didn't look at any of the notes he had written. It all came to him naturally. Of course, I'm not by any means pretending to do that. I'm just making this up as I go along, but I hope I'm driving some kind of point across. But it is my hope that hopefully next year, when we more than likely do this again, we'll have a bigger crowd, and hopefully this list will not have grown any longer. Thank you.
When thinking about this evening, I was put in mind of my gran. My grandmother was an amazing, vivacious, vibrant, happy, joyful, energetic woman who, at the end of her life, was beset with Alzheimer's. And it fell on my mother to uproot her life in Vancouver and to go to London to look after her mother. And it tore her apart. It devastated her. The amount of stress put on the caregiver is phenomenal. And I'm fortunate, we're actually fortunate that this happened in the UK, because in the UK, the National Health provides caregivers with a caregiver. And that's absolutely critical. It's all the time. And they recognize that the patient who needs the most care is the caregiver. Because the person who is with Alzheimer's or whatever, with disabilities it's slightly different, I understand. But in many cases, a patient is terminal. The caregiver is the one that needs the most care. And so I think that in order to stem this tide, recognizing that, making sure that the caregivers have the love and support that Sean mentioned, as well as the people being cared for, I think that will go a long, long way to helping this problem. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, well, I was gonna actually add to what Barbara was talking about. It's true that the caregivers need care, they need love and support. So I'm gonna give you an example from my life here. I was a child with autism, and now I'm an adult on the autism spectrum, and my primary caregiver has been my mom, and she's needed a lot of care, a lot. She's needed a lot of, self-help and self-care. Like, she's needed, to go skating or, do something. She needed to do a lot of stuff for her, which is understandable because, and my grandmother lived with us for a long time, and my gran is now in a nursing home, if you will, and it was very hard on my mom. My grandmother's caregiver was my mom, and having disabilities herself, it drove my mom insane, right? So my mom needed the love and support from me and my dad, but so it's easier, I think, because my grandmother's in the nursing home, but it's kind of Well, I was also going to say, it's sad there's, parents, of children with disabilities who feel like they don't have a lot of support, which is why, I'm gonna reiterate the, disability services and organizations they could reach out to, and, you can look for their websites, and that's why Erin and I go to networking events so that we can create an email list, a list of emails to send to parents with tears in their eyes about their child on the autism spectrum or another disability. So I guess that's all I had to say. Just okay, so thank you.
Expanding on what was being discussed for the previous two people, it's important to note that whenever there's issues, conflicts, or things that go on that are complex, you have to look at multiple perspectives beyond the black and white and into gray morality. When the media has been criticized as portraying parents and caregivers in a sympathetic light, why? Why are they portrayed in a sympathetic light? My mother has had to take time off from busy schedule, both my parents had, to take me to different resources throughout the day. Required special training, therapy. I required speech therapy for over 4 years when I was a child. And we often had to go to Social Security and the like. So when it comes to the stress that our parents and caregivers face, what is it that they're facing? How many of these things do they face on a daily basis? Just by being a parent, it takes a commitment. It takes sacrifices. Many people aren't always prepared to be a parent. And being a parent of a child with special needs is a different task altogether. So responsibility and sacrifice are often the issues that prove monumental. Think about a job that you do, a job that is hard. It requires a lot from you. That requires you to make extra commitment. Now imagine how much harder it must be for those parents. When the media portrays them in a sympathetic light, is because it is portrayed as they are carrying a load on their back that can be amounted to breaking, the straw that breaks the camel's back. Why do they call it the straw? Because just that little extra weight is too much. And so when the media actually has that small degree of truth, resources, caretakers for the caretakers, resources to help the parents and caregivers, assistance to take the load off the camel's back so that straw won't be the breaking point. As long as we are able to provide that type of resources for everyone, we may just have a chance of making parents, caretakers, and the special needs individuals have their hope. And now I'd like to pass the torch to Kayla Rodriguez.
Yeah, basically what I wanted to say is that, first of all, I think what Sean was saying about like a disabled Martin Luther King, I'm not gonna, the elephant in the room is that while Dr. Martin Luther King achieved a lot, unfortunately, if we all notice today that racism is still a very big part of American society. And I think it takes more than just a disabled version of Martin Luther King. I think, first of all, I think any one of us can be that person. Me, or Aaron, or Bennett, or Sean, or Robert, or Sonny. But it takes more than that. It takes more than just one person. And as Dr. Martin Luther King was, and he did achieve a lot. It's just that, unfortunately, I don't want to say he failed, but racism is still a big thing. And ableism, which is discrimination against disabled people, is still very big as well. It needs more. I'm just saying we need to come together. It can't just be one person. It has to be like a movement of people, like the Black Lives Matter movement or other movement, like just a movement. It can't just be one person to come along and say that we need that one person. I'm not saying that we don't, but we need more than just that. We need multiple people to say that autistic lives matter, hashtag autistic lives matter, and hashtag disabled lives matter. And I also wanted to say with the caregivers, what Ben had said at the beginning of all of this was that we are not a burden, and I don't want the media, I know taking care of people, anyone, is hard. And disabled people, yeah, it's hard, but we're not burdens. We're people. And I know it's hard for caregivers. I understand they need all the help they can get, especially with people with disabilities. I get that. It's just that I also believe that we're not burdens. Is that too hard for me to explain? No, we're not burdens. We're human beings. It's so hard for people. I don't know why it's so hard for people to think that we are not burdens, we are human beings, just like them. Like I said earlier, everyone is the same. We all have our differences, sure, but we're all the same. And I just wanted to say that, we are not burdens, we're not a job, we are people. And I want everyone, my dream is for everyone to think of us that way. But I know it takes, unfortunately, it doesn't take one person, it takes all of us. And I really hope that we all raise up and then more people will come to tell everybody that we are just like them, we are the same, we are not a burden or a job, we are people. And that's what I wanted to say, so thank you.